Hi everyone, I'm Micheline from Americana Long Arm Quilting. We do custom quilting and long arming, and you can find a link to our website in the description below. If you like these videos, like, share, and subscribe to help our channel grow so more people can see them. This is going to be a really fun project for me today because this is another pattern that my daughter Savannah designed. She is so incredibly talented. And she's going to insert a picture here or here because she's also the editor. Mwah. I love you, Savannah. This beautiful design, did I already say we were going to call it Garden Trellis? We're going to call it Garden Trellis. It's made out of all these beautiful purples and greens. The background even has green in it. It's this batik. Very pretty. Okay. We're going to have we're going to have a PDF on our website. So if you want to get all the cuts and all the directions, there's going to be a pattern, a PDF pattern on our website. So that'll be in the link. There'll be a link to that in the description below. And you can just go to Americana Long Arm Quilting and get to our website that way. Okay, we're going to have 3 blocks that we put together to make a mega block, or 3 different blocks. 2 of them are going to have multiple blocks. Anyway, it's going to come together into a great big block, and then we're going to get those blocks put into the quilt. So this is going to go pretty fast. Let's go over and start on block 1. Block number 1 is essentially a 9 patch. I'm using some rectangles. How's it going to be a 9 patch? It's easy. Let me show you. Okay. Put my glasses on. I've got my stitch set at 2.0. I am lining up the upper corner here. Let me line that up a little bit better. All right. Now we'll put this one together. Super, super easy sewing. Just, you know, I guess I consider harder sewing like, I don't know, circles, something like that. I don't know. This one, I will say, you need to really pay attention to your cuts. Of course, I say that because I made all kinds of mistakes with my cuts, but that was in designing the pattern. So, you know, I was getting myself confused is what I was doing. Okay, now I'm going to open these up and add the next block, or next piece. There we go. Okay, open this one up. Quarter-inch seams, super important on this one too. Maybe even a little bit more important on this one because we are matching some stuff in here, and if you don't have it just right, it won't match. Okay, I've got my iron heating up over there, and I'm just going to take a minute here and put the greens, finger press the greens towards the green. I'm going to finger press the purples towards the purple. And then this last one, I'll press it out again, right? Just like so. Now I'm just gonna put these together like so. And I'm gonna just take a couple of stitches right here, and then I'm gonna make sure that it's nesting, and it is. Now once I go over that first seam, I'm gonna look at the next seam and make sure it nests. There we go. Now all I have to do is flip it around and do the other side. I love webbing blocks like this. It makes the construction go so quickly. And webbing is when you leave them attached like that. That's webbed. Okay, so I'm going to nest that first seam, get a good hold on it, and just start right on down there. Once I go through that first seam, I'm going to make sure everything is going right on the second seam. here's a little hint for anybody who's in the market for a sewing machine. I love this sewing machine, but it has, let me get this out of the way and I'll show you. I think you'll be able to see. Right in front of the faceplate on this side, there's a little drop. That way you can get this out, the lid to your bobbin cover. And what that does, unfortunately, every time I'm pulling two seams over that, is it wants to fold the seam under going this way. And if I want it to go that way, I have to pick my material up and set it back down. Just something to be in the, just something to look for or consider when you're buying a machine. Not that I wouldn't suggest this machine, because I'm really loving it. This is a Pfaff Expression 710 and I love it. It's absolutely wonderful. But I'm used to a lot of throat space and a lot of space between here because I use industrial machines in my drapery workroom. So that kind of bothers me a little bit, but I mean, honestly, if you're not doing drapery work like me, you probably won't notice that. Okay, so I'm just giving this a nice press. Okay, now that looks really, really funny. That doesn't look like a 9 patch, does it? Well, it's going to in a second, because now we're going to cut it. Okay, I've brought you over to the cutting mat here so I can show you how to cut this and make it this funky looking 9 patch into the center block that we need it to be. We want our unfinished block to be 8.5 inches. So half of 8.5 inches is going to be 4 1/4. So I want to put my 4 1/4 mark here and here when I do the cuts. I've also lined up my points on a line, okay? So now I'm going to put, oops, the 4 1/4 mark on matching that point, that point, that point, and this point down here. And then I'm going to cut everything off that's over here. Now, while it's sitting here like this, I'm going to go do the other side like that too. I'm going to put the 4 1/4 mark right here, here, and here, like so. And then I'm going to cut that off. Now, honestly, you probably should get a spinning mat and do it like that. I am just leaving it still. Okay, so same thing here, only now I can't, now I don't have a point out here on the end. So I'm just using this one and this one. And I've got the 4 1/4 mark on that. And I'm making sure that this is straight and this is straight. Double check my 4 1/4. And now we'll cut that off. And now I'm just going to come down here, put the 4 1/4 mark on there and there where those two intersect. Make sure that this is straight and that's straight. I like that. There we go. And now we have our finished block. Doesn't look anything like a 9 patch now, does it? That's the center block to our trellis. Now let's go on back to the machine to block number 2. Block number 2. Now we need 4 of the block number 2s, and we're going to use our purple A, B, C, and D. These are in 2 different lengths. The 2 center ones, B and C, are a little bit longer than the outside ones. And we're going to do half square triangle, or not half square triangles, we're going to snowball, sorry, the corners of these 2 right here. This one is going to go this way, this one's going to go this way. That way they meet in the center. Now, you can always draw a line. I'm going to eyeball it. So I'm going to match the 2 of these really nicely up here. And I'm going to start from this corner and I'm going to go to this corner. And that should be exactly what I need for, and I've got a mark down here. I could also put a piece of tape, and with as many of these as I have to make, I'll probably put a piece of tape on there. Now this one is going to go from this corner to this corner, so I'm going to rotate him around like that. And again, I'm going to do all of these in a chain piecing sort of fashion. That way I get them done quick. Okay, but these two are now done. Let's see if we've got good coverage on that. So I'm going to flip that over, and that's got nice coverage on that one. Let's flip this one over and see how we did on it. That's good as well. So now I'm going to take and cut the back of that off. Okay. Do the same with this one. And you could take that over your cutting mat if you wanted to. All right, I am going to fold this one down, and I'm going to fold this one up. I don't think it matters. Just do them opposite, right? I'm going to make that nice and crisp. That'll just help in the next process. So those are down nice and tight. Now I'm going to sew them together. And I'm going to match, I'm going to nest that seam. And that is why I pressed one seam up and one seam down, so that they will nest. Okay? All right, now let's get that sewn. I'm going to mark the top, or match up the top. There we go. Make sure this stays nice and straight. Okay. Now, sometimes when you get 4 strips together, they get kind of unwieldy to get over there and press. So I am just going to do a little pressing right here, right now. Just a little bit, just to hold it in place, okay? Now we've got this, all right? Now I'm going to take this one on this side, line up that top, line up the sides. Go. Get that side done. See how quick block number 2 comes together? Man, it is a fast one. Okay, I'm going to spin this around like so. I could have just flipped it over, but I'm just going to do it this way. All right. And we're done with block number 2. That's what that looks like. Now, I'm not going to cut it right now because obviously that needs to be trimmed. We're going to do a similar thing that we did with the center block when we get the entire mega block put together. So we're going to cut this in a little bit. I need 4 of these. Now we'll go on to block number 3 though. All right, let's work on block number 2. Block number 2 has 2, sorry, Sarge, let me scoot over. Block number 2 has 2 different greens in it. Mine don't have a lot of contrast. Maybe you could pick 2 greens that contrast a little bit more, but this is what I've got, so this is what I'm using. I'm just going to show you one of these. You need 4 for each mega block. You need a green, you need a smaller green or a background, and you need a larger background. I have poverty pieced mine. Needed a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to put this smaller piece, let me get my glasses, onto one side of the backgrounds of the smaller background square, like so. And then I'm going to press that towards there, and then this one goes here. Okay, so he goes, bridges the difference between these 2 blocks. Okay, oops, let me get him in the corner there. All right, do another 1/4 inch seam there, like so. Okay, and then I'll press that towards the background. And I know that looks really funny, but that's block number 2. That's all you need to do for it. You need to make 4 of them. You need to make 2 with this green and 2 with the other green for each block. That's very important. Okay, I'm not going to cut this down. Again, I'm going to cut it down when I get it into the mega block. So let me get to it. All right, I told you this was going to be a mega block, and it is certainly big. You can't even see it all. These two right here, you don't even see all of it. But they're the same as these. So those go here and here. These are my little funky blocks. Now you'll notice that this green and this green match, and this green and this green match. Okay, now essentially this is a 9 patch. I'm going to sew these 3 together, these 3 together, these 3 together, and then I'll sew all that together. I am going to carefully pin these half square triangles because they tend to want to slip out of where they're supposed to be. So I'm gonna make sure I work really hard on those. Okay, let's go over to the machine and get this sewn up. All right, let's work on putting this mega block together. So I've got the bottom half of our 9 patch, and I've got 2 different greens here, and I'm just going to flip this guy over, match that corner, and sew the seam. Easy as that. All right, now to save some time, I've already done the top, and I've already did this side. Okay, but that's the bottom, or it's the top. All right, you put that to the side. Now let's go to working on this next one. All right, now on this center strip of our 9 patch, we've got to do some pinnings. Yes, here's the girl that never pins anything. We're pinning. Okay, so I am going to go through. See where that little X is, where my seams come together? One is going this way and one is going this way. I've stuck a pin down through there. Let me open it up here so you can see where I've stuck my pin. Okay, here we go. So I've come out through that little point right where it crosses over, and right there at 1/4 of an inch. And I'm not going to stick that pin, I'm not going to bend that pin over and go in my fabric, because oftentimes when you do that, you rotate the fabric just ever so slightly. And what I'm talking about is when you take your pin and you go like that and put it in. It's going to rotate the fabric just ever so slightly. So I'm going to leave that pin straight up and down. I'm going to take another pin and just a little bit to the front and a little bit to the back, I am going to put that. So now we have that. We have 2 pins in and one that was holding the fabric exactly where it needs to go. Now I can take the one out that was holding that fabric. And just for giggles, I'm going to put it right there at the front. Whoops, maybe I should line that up a little bit better and then put that at the leading edge. Okay, now I've already done this seam. Let's do this one. So when I get to that, those intersections, I'm just going to be really careful to go through where I know that 1/4 inch is. Up to this side. Take those out. All right. Let's see how I did. Pretty darn good. Needs some pressing, but I'm happy with that. Let me see if I can kind of pull them apart to make it. So that worked out really good. Now what we're going to do is put the 3 pieces together, the top and the bottom. And I'm going to pin those really carefully too. Not only am I going to pin it carefully here, but I'm also going to match these seams up really well too. Okay. All right. I've got all my pins set in all those seams so that I'll match the 1/4 inch on the triangle, half square triangle there. I've got my seams here matched, and I've got a little pin on the end. Let's get this one sewn. I need that. Put my leader in. I didn't need it because I've got a little overhang there. So there we go. Take that pin out. Don't want to run over any of those pins. Okay, check my seams. Make sure they're not going in the wrong direction. Now, as I get to these pins, I go right up to them before I take them out. And then I make sure I'm going through where my stitches crossed like that, so that I know I'm getting that 1/4 of an inch. Almost done with the mega block. Alrighty. It's the grand reveal of the gigantic block. Now we're going to take it over to the cutting table. First, we're going to press it. Make it nice and flat. Don't distort anything. Make it nice and flat. And then we're going to take it to the cutting table and we're going to make it into a square. All right, we're back over to the cutting table with my very funny looking mega block. And now we're going to trim it down. And we're going to end up trimming this down to a 23-inch block. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to line these two green pieces up on the I'm going to line a ruler up on 7 1/4 inches on this green. I need to move it this way. Here we go. Okay, so I've got the bottom of those green half square triangles at 7 1/4 inches. So now I can take my big ruler and I can set it here, and it will span the distance that I need it to span. I'm going to check, make sure that was still 7 1/4. They're butted up against each other. I'm going to move him out of the way, and I'm going to use this ruler to cut. Now I press this all really, really neatly and spray starched it so it's nice and stable. Now I'm just going to simply rotate this, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to put the 7 1/4 inch line right there on the bottom of those two green half square triangles. And I'm going to put my ruler right along that other one. Check to make sure that one's okay. Hold this one in place. There we go. All right, 2 more sides to do. Ruh-roh. There we go. Get this out of the way. Okay. Put this again back on the 7 1/4. I'm a little bit off on that one, so I'm going to do this other line first. Looks like this one comes in a little bit. And that's going to happen from time to time. Oop, I got to move that up. All right, that's at 7 1/4. And put that right there. All right, I'm also going to check one other thing. Because these two were off a little bit, I'm going to check what is this figure on the top of these green ones, and it's 10. So when I turn this back around, I'm going to go 10 inch. I'm going to keep that in mind, and I'm going to go from the top of these, okay? Since the bottoms weren't even. And it doesn't have to be. I don't believe in having to have it absolutely perfect. It's not going to make me lose sleep that it's a little bit off right there. I mean, seriously, can you tell that those two half square triangles are at different levels right there? So that's what I thought. Okay, but I need to make this square, and to do that I need to have some point of reference. And since this is not even, but this is, and I know that that is 10 inches, or should be 10 inches. Okay. And if I go on the 10-inch mark, it looks like this one was correct and this one was a little long, which is fine. But now I've got that point of reference at 10 inches. I'm going to come down here like this. Oops. Oop. Okay, let me go up just a smidgen. There we go. Now I can move that out of the way, and I can cut this last side, and that should be a 23-inch block. Let me move it over here to the corner. And it is nice and square, and it is 23 inches. All right, now There are 12 of these in the quilt. It's a 3x4 block layout, so I've just got 11 more to do, and then we'll get it on the table and let you look at it. Okay, y'all, isn't this looking gorgeous? I love the way it's turning out. Now I just have to piece the mega blocks together into a row and then sew all the rows together, and then we'll get her on Eleanor. Y'all, I am so excited about how this turned out. I think this is just magnificent. I'm calling it Garden Trellis. Well, I guess I should have asked Savannah, because she's the one that designed this. She has got such a great flair for designing these quilts. I absolutely love it. Came together really nicely. A lot of pinning. You know, this from the girl that doesn't pin. I pinned the heck out of this guy. But I think everything came together just absolutely beautifully. It finished 74.5 by 96.5. And that's just 12 blocks, because the blocks were, let's see, finished blocks were 22.5. Hi, Ranger. Yes, a good boy. Yeah, the blocks were huge, so there's just 12 blocks here. I think I honestly could have made it a square too, but I'm not the biggest fan of square quilts, so I did this one 3 blocks across and 4 blocks down. You sweet boy. Yes, you are. I finished, ouch, you're stepping on my toe. I finished it with a 3-inch border that gave the design some place to stop. And I long-armed it with an absolutely beautiful little daisy pattern. Horrible name, G Daisy's Fast. That's the name of the long-arming pattern. Anyway, but that is a really beautiful flowery print. I used the green for the border, so I did a light lavender color in the long-arming, which turned out really pretty. Let's see, what did I back it with? Backed it with a purple. It's so long, it's laying on the ground. Backed it with this beautiful purple. So that turned out really, really well. Let me know what you think. Didn't Savannah do an awesome job thinking up a new pattern for us? Listen, if you liked what you saw today, please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the things that make that algorithm sing. And until next time, stay quilting. Bye.